I've been living here for 9 months, so I've definitely learned a couple things. I've been to a ton of places. I had a bucket list and it was like the size of my door. It was like a full-length door bucket list. We were just like checking off. So I've done like all the touristy things and then all like local things, and I've had a bunch of friends take me on like hidden gems. So I've definitely learned a bunch of things about what to do. If I was coming for the first time, this is what I would want to do. Now, I'm someone who likes food. I'm someone who likes to bike and see the outdoors. I'm someone who doesn't like touristy things. I like to get kind of an authentic feel for the place. I'm not into really historical things or contrived experiences. Like Fisherman's Wharf for me is definitely a skip. I think for a lot of people it's a big skip. So that's just something about my preferences. I want to be outside. I want to be having good food and like kind of seeing the authentic sites. So first things first, in the description box I will have a link of all of these places, and I'm going to actually coordinate map them because people will be like, go to Land's End, but then when you try to go there you're like, wait, where exactly is this? So I'm actually going to drop a pin to show you like this is the spot where your feet need to be. These are the coordinates so that you can like Google Map or whatever to those places. So before you get here, I would get a Clipper card. So there's an app. So Clipper gets you access to Muni, which is pretty much trains and buses. For this itinerary, I'm going to recommend you take the train, not really the buses. They're kind of slow and you're trying to pack as much in as you can. It also gets you on the ferry, which we're going to be doing, and it also gets you on the cable car. And I have kind of a cable car hack that makes you not have to wait in line, and you need the Clipper card for that. So I would recommend that you get a Clipper card, just do the app. And I would put about $30 on it. I think for this you need 25, and so just 25.50, so you just round up to 30 so that you have it. So also, in addition to getting kind of the Clipper app, you need to also get the Lyft app. You'll need the Lyft, and I mean, you should just probably have the Lyft and Uber app in general, but we're going to use a bike service that is powered by Lyft, so you want the Lyft app for that. When you go to SF, I wouldn't stay downtown. When I first visited SF, actually, I was like, oh, you go to a big city, you stay downtown, that's what you do. You want to be closest to downtown. With SF, I just think you kind of lose the feel if you stay downtown. Some of the worst parts of the city are downtown, and all the cuter parts are a little further out. So I would try to get as close as you can to the DeBose and Noe train station. It's a cute little dog park. The neighbors immediately to the north and to the south, and the west is really cute. The east is you're getting toward downtown, but it's a really cute neighborhood. Like, you just can't go wrong, and it's really close to the train. So that's where I would stay. Okay, so day one, you're gonna wake up and you're gonna walk to Alamo Square. And if you're staying close to DeBose and Noe, that'll be like a 10-minute walk from DeBose and Noe. It's a cute walk through all these like townhomes. If you follow the Wiggle is this bike path that avoids the hills, and it's cute. It's a cute bike. That part of the Wiggle is really cute through these cute townhomes, so you could follow that. And it goes to Alamo Square. It's like the Painted Ladies. It was the intro on Full House. But just aside from all that, it's actually just a really cute park, and the skyline is gorgeous. So you've got the Painted Ladies, and behind that is the skyline, and the sunrises are beautiful over there. The sun is rising. There's people with their dogs. The vibes are just so good at that park. So then you're going to walk down the hill from Alamo Square, and there is a bike rack where you can get on an e-bike. E-bikes are great. So if you want to bring a helmet, maybe you should bring a helmet for this. I think e-bikes are the best way to see SF. The part that I'm talking about right now is not very hilly, so you're not going to be going up a bunch of hills, but you can see so much on bike. I feel like bike is the best way to see SF, honestly. So you're going to bike to the Panhandle, and the Panhandle is just this cute little park. It's not very big, but it's got this path that goes, and it leads you straight into Golden Gate Park. And Golden Gate Park is stunning. It's like 3 miles long of just gorgeous park. So JFK Promenade, since the pandemic, they just voted on it, and it'll be permanently closed to cars. So it's just open to just people and bikers. Like on your right, there's the Conservatory of Flowers, which is gorgeous. There's a piano where people play. Anyone can hop on those if the tarp's not on it. And then like on your left, eventually there's this Ferris wheel. I would skip riding the Ferris wheel. You could if you wanted, actually. I would say that's up to your discretion. I think it's $20 a ride. So it's kind of expensive. I did it. I don't know if it's worth it. The California Academy of Sciences is right there. For the sake of a short day trip, I would skip it. It just would take too much time. But there is DeYoung Museum, which is an art museum. So I would park your bike outside there. When I go with family, I have someone just like watch the bikes and we go up. But you could lock your bikes right there. You're not supposed to lock your bikes in the e-bikes in Golden Gate Park, but it'll just give you a warning. The first time you do it, it'll give you a warning like it'll cost $25 next time you do this, but it won't charge you that the first time. So you'd probably be fine to turn them off if you wanted to, and I don't think anyone would rent them, like take them from you. So if you go up into the art gallery, if you go to the far right, you could probably just ask someone. You can go in this elevator. It's free, so you just walk in. The art museum's not free, but go to the viewpoint it is. So you could ask someone where's the elevator to go up to the viewpoint, and it's this gorgeous, like 360 view, all windows. None of the pictures I have ever captured it as beautiful as it is, but it's gorgeous. So then I would hop back down the bikes, keep going. You're going to go all the way down to the ocean. Once you get about halfway through the park, there will be cars on it, but it's not trafficked that much. On the weekends it is sometimes, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's like dangerous or anything. It's not like you're in the city and, crazy. It's not super trafficked. So you're going to bike all the way out to the ocean. You see Ocean Beach. It's pretty. I would say the beach it's not the prettiest beach of all time, but it's nice to go out there. You see the ocean, you can take some pictures. And there's a bike rack, and you can park your bikes there, and then you'll just walk up the hill, and you'll go to Land's End. And Land's End is a gorgeous hike. It's a flat hike. It's probably about a mile long, and it's mostly flat. Gorgeous ocean views. Then you come around the corner and you see the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's gorgeous. I highly recommend it. Right next to it is the Sutro Baths, and I would just skip it. It's a lot of stairs down to basically see a bunch of graffiti rock. It's definitely not worth it. So I would just stay on Land's End. It's so gorgeous, gorgeous hike. Once you get to the end of Land's End, there's a great spot where you can just take pictures of the Golden Gate Bridge. Baker Beach is another place where you could take pictures of the Golden Gate Bridge, but they're not really better than that viewpoint, actually, and the beach can be a little run down. So I would say Baker Beach is a skip. So then from there, I would call an Uber, and I would Uber across the bridge and go to Sausalito. Now, Sausalito itself, I wouldn't say is necessarily worth it. It's a cute town. It's actually gorgeous over there. But the reason we're going over there is mostly just so you can cross the bridge and you can be on the bridge and take in the sights. And Sausalito is cute. I wouldn't spend too much time there. If you want to get like fish and chips, that would be fun to get fish and chips there. But the real reason that we're doing it is so that you can get on the ferry. And the ferry, you can just pay with your Clipper card, and it's $13 to go back. And the views are gorgeous. On a sunny day, you're just sitting up top. It's gorgeous. You're seeing the skyline. The reason we Uber over to Sausalito is really just for the ferry ride back, and because this geographically is taking us in a circle, so we need kind of a way to get back. So that'll drop you off at the ferry building, so you can walk around. On a Saturday, there's like a farmer's market. It's really cool shops in there, so you can walk around the ferry building. The ferry building is not one of my favorite places, but while you're there, you might as well walk around. It's mostly just the drop-off point. The ferry comes every like 2 hours or so you want to check the schedule. So there's multiple ferries that leave from Sausalito. Some will drop you off at the north end, some will drop you off at the ferry building. You want the one that drops you off at the ferry building. I have made the mistake. I've gotten on the wrong boat before. So then you're going to go to Salesforce Park. Now, Salesforce is the big kind of skyscraper in SF. And this part of downtown is really clean. It's actually really nice. This is a really good part of downtown. Gorgeous. If you like big buildings, like I really like looking at big buildings and like just taking in like really modern buildings. It's really cool. So there's Salesforce Park, which is this park on a rooftop, and they take the plant life from all over the world. So different sections of the park have plant life from around the world. And whenever my family comes, this is everyone's favorite spot, which I never really hear people talking about it, but all my family loves it. I really like it too. It's one of my favorite places. On the weekend, they've got Zumba classes up there and yoga classes. There'll be music up there. I've seen DJ classes. All sorts of classes happen up there. It is a phenomenal park. It's so clean and gorgeous, and just the juxtaposition of the nature and these massive buildings around you, it's phenomenal. I think it's definitely worth the stop. So then I would just take the train home. I said stay by the end, so I would take the end home, chill for a little bit. It's like been a big day, been all over Sausalito. And then in the evening, I would just Uber up to Japantown. It'll be a really quick, maybe 5-10 minute Uber ride from there. I would go up to Japantown, and I would put in your reservation. I'd put your name on the list at Marufuku Ramen. It's amazing. SF is kind of known for really good Asian food, so if you don't have a lot of Asian food where you live, I would take advantage of it. I was from Idaho, so I am from Idaho, and I didn't have very good Asian options, so I would take advantage of it. So put your reservation in first, because it's probably going to be like an hour wait, but it's worth it. I've never had ramen this good, never had this good ramen since. It ruined me for any other ramen. And the Japan Center is so cool. There's like this bridge, and you go over, and there's this cool Japan stationery store and a bookstore, and it's just basically this Japanese mall pretty much, and it's so cool. And the ramen's so good. Then I would Uber back, so like 5-10 minutes, and I would go to Last Rites. It's a tiki bar, and it should be close to where you're staying. It's really close to Dubose and Noe, and it is so good. Really good drinks. It's a really cool vibe. It actually kind of reminds me of like a Disneyland restaurant in there. It's very themed. It's like the theme is like you're in this crashed plane and all these tiki drinks. It's really fun. It's a really good vibe. It's so fun in there. So yeah, that's how I would recommend you end your night. Okay, so the next morning, I recommend you get on the N and train down to Powell Station. And from there, you're going to transfer and get on the T. So it's confusing because there are multiple T's right now because they're in the middle of this year-long subway project. But they just developed this new line, the T, and it takes you up to Chinatown. So I recommend that you subway up to Chinatown, and then you're going to cable car back. And cable carring back is cool because of the downhill. It's just the view is better, so I recommend you do it that way. And you also get to skip the line. So when they load the cable cars, they intentionally leave space for people to get on at different stops. And then as people ride the cable car, some people will get off. So you can get on at any point that you want. A lot of people don't know that. They wait in this like hour-long line to get on the cable car, and it's definitely not worth the hour-long wait. But, so I would take the subway up to Chinatown, hang out, get some dim sum, lots of Asian bakeries around here in Chinatown, so I definitely recommend taking advantage of those. Just such cool streets. I'll link some of the cool streets, like lots of hanging lanterns. If you want to get a fortune cookie, like the fortune cookie shop, you could. But it's really cool, just explore that area. And so explore that as much as you want. So for me personally, I would just go up to Chinatown, and then I would hop on the cable car and come back. When you get on the cable car, sometimes, people be hopping on, hopping off. I would try to get a standing position, like hanging off. If you're in the enclosed section, it's so stuffy and crowded. So that's just something to note. I would try to be in the open air section toward the front. And then if you could be standing, hanging off the sides, that's the funnest way to do it, in my opinion. There are seats in the open air section too, though. So when you get back to the cable car turnaround, right there, right like a block up there is Union Square. There's a really nice Sephora. There's, you got Chanel, Gucci, all those types of stores if you're interested in that. There's the mall if you're interested in that. If that's a skip to you, it's a skip to you. That's something that I would be kind of personally interested in. But if that's a skip to you, you could skip that and you could get straight on the J. So go down into the subway station and get on the J, and that'll take you to Mission Dolores Park. That's the only train that'll take you there. So it starts underground, then it'll go above ground, and you'll get off at Mission Dolores Park. Mission Dolores Park is one of my favorite places in the city. It fully encompasses San Francisco to me. You'll see so many people playing tennis and playing basketball. There'll be people DJing, there's people smoking weed. You'll see a homeless person. It's just everything about San Francisco in one place is Mission Dolores Park. It's gorgeous, incredible skyline view. So I recommend getting a burrito. You can't go wrong with any of the burritos in that area. I would just pick the closest one that's closest to the park. I've been to several of them. They're all great. You can't go wrong. So I'd grab a burrito, get a super burrito. That's an SF thing. Get a super burrito. And then I would go sit at the top of the park, and I would just look at the view, take everything in, like people DJing, have a blanket, have a picnic. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous place, especially on a nice day. So that's one of my favorites. That's like you cannot miss Mission Dolores Park if you want to fully experience what SF is like. So after you've had your burrito, like a block from Mission Dolores Park is Garden Creamery, which is an ice cream shop. It's an Asian ice cream shop. So they got so many cool flavors. There are lots of ice cream shops in the area that are really good. There's tons of them. And I personally, if it was me, I would go to Garden Creamery just because it's the Asian flavors, and I could not get that. Like in Idaho, I couldn't get that. I can get all sorts of like mom and pop ice cream, in Idaho, but I couldn't get that here. So that's what I would do. So then I would just kind of walk in the cute neighborhoods and walk up to the Castro. So yeah, the Castro is another thing that SF is so famous for. You've got the rainbow crosswalks. I would go up to Hot Cookie. It's a really yummy cookie spot. It's right near the train station, so I've been there so many times. The cookies have to be warm, and they're so good. So I recommend going to Hot Cookie. So then for dinner, I would go down to Hayes Valley. Hayes Valley is this super cute area, like string lights everywhere, outdoor workout facility. It's a great area, tons of great food. So I would just go down there and pick a spot. I love Dumpling Home down there. If you want good Asian food, a lot of people say best dumplings that they've ever had in their lives, out, in the US. So it's great. Such a fun experience. If you've never had soup dumplings, I would look up a video on how to eat soup dumplings. They're so good. I'd never had them before, and Idaho doesn't really have Asian food, at least where I lived. So that was really fun. And then I would go to Naya Dessert Cafe. It's a couple blocks from there. I would just walk a couple blocks to Naya Dessert Cafe. So yummy. You could get a crepe cake. I love the Thai tea brick toast. So many good options. You can't go wrong at Naya either. So for the third day, I actually recommend getting out of SF and going on the north side. So this is when you can see viewpoints of the bridge and do some hiking and get a sense of the outdoor scene in San Francisco. We sometimes, Garrett and I don't have a car, but sometimes we'll rent a get-around car. It's kind of like Airbnb for cars, so it's just everyday people renting out their cars, and it's about $10 an hour. So if you brought your car, you could take it, or if you didn't bring a car, then you could rent get-around, and that's what we do. It's totally worth it. It's definitely cheaper than if you were to Uber over there. So I would drive across the bridge, and we'll do the bridge last, but I would go up to Mount Tam. It is gorgeous. There's a highway called the Scenic Highway. It is stunning. You're like looking down at the redwoods, looking out at the ocean. It is the most stunning drive I've ever been on. So going up, it's maybe like a 35-minute drive to get to the top. So you're going to do two things up there. One is you're going to go to East Peak, and it's it's a flat mile-long loop. I wouldn't do the full loop, actually, because we're going to do something else. But I would go and I would start the loop until you get to the viewpoint, and it's gorgeous. You're looking out, you're seeing like redwoods, you're seeing the San Francisco skyline, the ocean. It is stunning, like the most stunning view I've ever seen. And then after that, you're going to go hike Cataract Falls. So this is kind of a reverse thing. It's actually kind of rough, but it just takes too long to drive the other way. But if you park and then you hike the Laurel Dell, I think is what the trail's called, and you hike down and you're following this waterfall all the way down, and it's gorgeous. And then you hike all the way back up. So that's kind of the bummer, is you're doing down and then you're doing up, but it's so gorgeous. It's totally worth it. Killer on the legs, but it's definitely worth it. So then you'll come back down Mount Tam. It's gorgeous. And then you'll go see the viewpoint, Battery Spencer. Stunning views of the bridge. I have never seen a picture from Battery Spencer that actually did it justice in real life. The bridge in real life is just, it's massive. I've never seen a picture that ever did the Golden Gate Bridge justice. Some videos do, if you see some aerial videos, but just in real life, it is huge. It's just massive. So the viewpoint, Battery Spencer, I think is worth it. So at any tourist spot in particular, you have to be really careful. Don't leave a single thing in your car, not a cable for a charger, nothing. I frequently see shattered glass from someone breaking someone's window at tourist spots. I don't really see it anywhere else, but at tourist spots very frequently. So yeah, after that hike, you're probably like pooped. Like after that hike, I was so pooped that I was like not in the mood. After this whole thing, I think you're like probably so tired. So I might just like DoorDash something in. I love sticks. It's Korean corn dogs. If you haven't ever had Korean corn dogs, it's kind of like a big mozzarella stick, more so than a corn dog. But there is meat in it, and then they roll it in sugar, and then there's like spicy mayo or like sriracha that they put on it. It's phenomenal. I put a lot of Asian food on here because SF just has good Asian food. You can't get it in a lot of places, so I put a lot of like Asian heavy things on here. So if you only had one day, so like when Garrett and I visited, we only had one day, I would do the stuff that I did on the first 2 days, but combine them. I've actually done this before. I've done this with family, where we did it in one day, and it was a lot. But you get to see so much in one day. So like if I was coming in one day, I think it would totally be worth it, but it was absolutely so much. And I think it did help also that I know where to go. If I didn't know where to go, then maybe it would be a little bit worse, but I will link like the coordinates in the description. So a couple things that were not on here. So Alcatraz was not on here. That's because it takes a long time. It's honestly like it could be a 4-hour thing. So you take a ferry over and you stay as long as you want, you come back, but to really do it, it takes so long, and then you're waiting in line. So it's really just a time sucker, and I don't personally like historical things that much. It's cool, but to me it's really well done, but it's not something that I would, in a 3-hour like precious time, it's not something that I would go to. Another thing is the Palace of Fine Arts. The Palace of Fine Arts is gorgeous. I actually really like it. But just geographically, it's one of those things that's geographically hard to get to without having to take a bus or without having to take a lot of Ubers. So that's something that if you want to add it in, I think it's worth it. It's gorgeous. Star Wars was kind of modeled after the looks of it. I think, was it the third Star Wars? The newer of the third? Oh, there's so many Star Wars. So it's gorgeous. It's just geographically difficult to get to. It doesn't really fit in with like the map of things. Coit Tower is one. I think that the De Young Museum view is just as good, and it's free. The Coit Tower was like $20 to go up, and then you're up there and it's kind of like warm and stuffy, or at least it was when I was there, and it's just all these people and the view wasn't that good. So Coit Tower was kind of skip. A lot of things for me along the northern end are kind of a skip, like City Lights Books, Coit Tower, Fisherman's Wharf, Ghirardelli. But like I said, if you wanted to on that one day, you could cable car all the way up, so you could stop off at Lombard and see it. You could see Ghirardelli if you want to go to In-N-Out. Some people are into In-N-Out. Another one that it could go either way is Haight-Ashbury. The neighborhood that surrounds it is so cute. Page Street is so cute. Ashbury Heights, if you go up the hill, is really gorgeous. That's where we Airbnb'd when we were here. But actual Haight-Ashbury can be a little like hit or miss. A lot of the tourist spots are just kind of dirty. And the street is cool. If you are into like crystals or hippie type things, then you'd probably really like it. Garrett likes it. Like for Garrett, it's not a skip. For me, I would skip it. So that's one that could go like either way. So if you have time in an evening, maybe just go stroll along Page Street because it's not going to be that far from where you're staying if you follow my recommendation. So I would just go for a walk along Page Street. It's so cute. And that's a good way to like see it, but I wouldn't make it like a destination thing. With SF, the deal is how are you going to get there in a time efficient way? Geographically, it's always like, how's the transportation going to work? Because parking takes forever in SF. Like, you do not want to be spending your time parking. Like, anytime you go anywhere, just expect to be spending 15 minutes finding parking. So yeah, I will link all the coordinates in the description. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that was helpful. See you in the next one. Bye.